This video gives an introductory overview of the antioxidants and their role in prevention of specific diseases. Topics dealt here are causes of free radicals, antioxidants role in prevention of specific diseases, etc. Before going to the actual topics, we need to consider these three statements. First statement is that 100% oxygen is toxic to the body. Oxygen, which is said to be a life inertia, why it is toxic to the body is the first question that may be arising. Next is that antioxidants taken in the diet is directly proportional to the lifespan of a person. Next, antioxidants have an important role in prevention of specific diseases. How these three statements are given will be proved in this video. Next, there is something called a free radical. Free radical, which means that it has an electron it is an electron deficient healthy atom. Here you can see that in the healthy atom there are ample number of electrons for it to be stable, but in the case of free radical it has an electron, it is one electron deficient, which means that it is unstable. So to become stable, this free radical want to capture electrons or want to take electrons from other healthy atoms, making those healthy atoms free radicals. So there are different types of free radicals which are produced in the body as normal metabolic processes and also some of the other processes. First type is that hydroxyl radical, superoxide radical, hydrogen peroxide, which is hydrogen peroxide, and singlet oxygen. Singlet oxygen, which means that in the case of all other free radicals, hydroxyl radical, superoxide radical, and other free radicals produced, they are one electron deficient. But in the case of singlet oxygen, they are not one electron deficient, but the oxygen atom is getting into an excited state. Here you can see that in the first row, here in this row, here the oxygen is in ground state, so the electrons get excited and oxygen is in ground state, and the electrons get excited and get into the anti-bonding orbitals, anti-bonding pi orbitals. But so this is the safe excited state. But in this case a singlet oxygen is formed, which means that total orbital is left empty and both the two electrons are getting into only one orbital. In this case also the electrons are getting excited into the orbitals but with opposite spins. So in this case of opposite spins, the excited oxygen wants to capture electron from other healthy atoms, or wants to damage the other healthy atoms by capturing the electrons. So these are the four types of free radicals which are produced in the body. Apart from these, there are also other free radicals, but these are the main free radicals which are produced in larger amounts. So next is that what are the actually causes of free radicals. Free radicals causes are, first cause is that normal metabolic process. Normal metabolic process also cause the formation of free radicals. How normal metabolic process causes the formation of free radicals? In our diet we are taking proteins, polysaccharides, and fats, and also other vitamins and minerals also. But these three are the main nutrients which provide energy to our body. Polysaccharides, which contains simple sugars like glucose, undergo glycolysis to produce ATP and NADH. However, this after this glycolysis, ATP are produced, but this ATP is not sufficient for the energy requirement of the body. So these NADH molecules in turn go through a cycle called citric acid cycle, producing additional amount of ATP and NADH. This NADH in turn uh, get into a process called oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation means that producing additional amount of ATP using the reducing power of NADH. At this last step of the oxidative phosphorylation, oxygen which is taken as through normal breathing gets converted into water by the addition of electrons and protons. So this you concentrate on this conversion of oxygen to the water. This conversion of oxygen to the water mainly occurs, which means electron transport chain oxidative phosphorylation mainly occurs in the mitochondrion of the cell at this part in the intermembrane space. This is the region of animation which is given here. Here you can see that electron transport chain is mainly carried out by an enzyme called cytochrome P oxidase. Cytochrome P oxidase has different enzyme complexes, enzyme complex 1, 2 and 3. When the NADH from the glycolysis from NADH molecules from the citric acid cycle enter into the electron transport chain, because of the reducing power of NADH, protons and electrons transfer from the NADH to the ubiquinone moiety, and this ubiquinone moiety gives electrons to the cytochrome C. This cytochrome C in turn gives the electrons to the oxygen, and thus reducing the oxygen to the water. But this is the normal metabolic process, but almost 98% of the process is occurring by this pathway, but 2% 2% may occur by this pathway. You can see that ubiquinone moiety is transferring electron to the cytochrome C first, but 2% chances are like that ubiquinone moiety directly transfers the electrons, directly gives the electrons to the oxygen, but not to the cytochrome C. Because of this electron leakage directly to the oxygen, a type of radical called superoxide radical may be produced, which is toxic to the body. This is first cause for the free radical. Next cause is that alcohol intake. Alcohol intake, you can see that here is the structure of alcohol. Alcohol after taken into the body, it gets converted into acetaldehyde by the action of enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase. This acetaldehyde is toxic in many ways, because this acetaldehyde, when interacts with the radiations, get converted into harmful radicals like these radicals in turn generate many free radicals in the body. If this acetaldehyde is getting converted into acetate by the action of acetaldehyde dehydrogenase and further getting converted into acetyl CoA, it may be a source for the ATP production in the body. But many Indians and the Asians, when compared to the Western people, have the acetaldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme in lesser amounts. So because of prevention of this step, acetaldehyde may be toxic to the Asians when compared to Western people. Next, this is the second cause for the free radicals to be generated in the body. Next cause is that harmful radiations, like ultraviolet radiations. How the ultraviolet radiations leads to the formation of free radical. Here you can see that there are two water molecules. When an radiation hits the water molecule, you can see that here the electron, this is the oxygen and these two are hydrogens. The electron is getting ejected because of the high energy. So this electron gets ejected. This leads to the formation this leads to the deficient of one electron in the water molecule. So water molecule with interaction with radiation gives an electron. This ejected electron may again attack another water molecule, leading to the formation of this ion. So here negative ion and positive ions of the water are formed. Next, after this step, this negative water ion dissociates into hydroxyl ion and hydrogen free radical. This so this is the first free radical which is formed during this process. Next, after this formation, this the positive ion which is formed in the first step will dissociate into positive ion and hydroxyl free radical. So this is the second radical which is getting formed. So by this way, two types of free radicals like hydrogen free radical and hydroxyl free radicals are formed when the uh, radiation is interacting with the water molecule. In the same way, radiation may interact with other molecules apart from water molecules in the body and generate many free radicals. So this is the third cause. Fourth cause is that there is something called respiratory burst in the human body. Respiratory burst means whenever the foreign particles enter into the lungs,